4 years in high school were the most determined years of my life. When I finally held that diploma in my hands, I knew it was time for a major change. The letter from Northeastern came in the mail, and I was presented with a unique enrollment option that broke down the walls of college stereotypes and changed everything. After looking into the NUN offer, I honestly didn't know how to feel. I couldn't help but think there had to be a good reason I was picked for this. After days of sleeping on the decision, the NUN acceptance letter started to look more like a golden ticket. I said goodbye to my mom from a taxi at the airport and departed from Boston with high expectations for what was to come. On that dreadfully long international flight, my excitement heightened as I pondered the unexpected adventures awaiting me in the months ahead. Though I expected to immediately encounter culture shock, walking through the streets of Melbourne gave me a warm feeling that I was still living in the city I love. My first week here was an entirely unique experience. The accommodations made living independently a breeze, and I grew to enjoy self-reliant tasks such as doing laundry and cooking my own meals. Watching the sunrise and sunset from our balcony was always a simple pleasure that I could not take for granted. Melbourne is an amazing metropolitan city, and there's so many places to explore. For the amazing race, we trekked around the city in groups to take pictures of the most notable locations. In retrospect, getting lost with my new friends proved to be a valuable and memorable time, exploring the city I later began to call home. Over the duration of the program, day trips and activities were organized so that we could see the country and make the most of our time here. Our first bus ride out of Hawthorne brought us to the Healesville Sanctuary. It was a fun time getting up close to the wildlife that is so iconic of Australia. Sightseeing at Phillip Island and Great Ocean Road was an amazing way to see the natural Australian landscape. The last major trip was our weekend in Sydney. I made the most of it by seeing the sights, visiting the aquarium sanctuary, getting a view of Sydney from the Tower Eye, and going on a jet boat ride. Other activities included attending an Australian rules footy game, visiting the Melbourne Sky Deck, and going surfing at Torquay Beach. Just when the trip began to feel like a vacation, reality set in and it was time to hit the books. With all the fun I was having, I still had to remember my purpose of studying abroad. At Swinburne, I've had access to the facilities and resources needed to make the most of my education here. Service learning at the Camberwell Salvation Army was a very fulfilling experience for me. Our group helped host an afternoon lunch on Sundays to support people in need. On a particular Sunday, I sat down at a table to strike up some conversation with a man I'd already served once before. After a minute of introductions, the next thing I knew, he was teaching me about mathematical concepts years beyond my knowledge. Not only had I learned the importance of giving back, but it goes to show that good information can come from anybody. A unique service experience was attending this year's Melbourne Cup to raise money for a charitable group. Second Bite is an organization that redistributes potentially wasteful food to hungry people who need it the most. We helped a good cause while having a great time attending the race that stops the nation. At every event we served at, it felt powerful to get involved and give back to the community. The most captivating adventure I've had thus far in Australia was my spring break road trip across New Zealand. We set off on our 10-day excursion and certainly made the most of our journey. Far from any metropolitan city, there was an untouched beauty out in that vast land. I saw a stillness in the landscape of New Zealand, knowing that everything will remain the same as the days, months, and years roll by. I had a lot to think about after spending some time with nature. 18 years, and it isn't until now that I've finally opened my eyes to the world. The bubble that I call home looks really small from the outside. This experience as a whole has taught me how to be a more independent person. Throughout my time here, I've grown into my maturity as I've taken on new challenges and responsibilities. The lesson I've learned and the friends I've made here will certainly stay with me as I continue to grow. Having gratefully taken the opportunity, I was able to break out of the ordinary and live the NU in Australia life.